Welcome back this evening. The night has settled in again, calm, steady, familiar. Whatever the day carried, it can stay behind for a while. You're here now, in this quiet space between waking and rest, where the world moves slower and thoughts begin to drift like low clouds. Take a deep breath in and let it go. The air tonight feels clear, wide, and open, the kind that seems to hold starlight inside it. The ground beneath you feels steady, gentle. There's nothing left to reach for, and nowhere you need to be. Tonight's story is called The Stairway Beneath the Stars. It's about a quiet place in a wide field where, on certain nights, the ground gives way to something unexpected. A staircase that descends not into the earth, but into the reflection of the night sky itself. Each step carries you deeper into stillness, where the stars feel close enough to touch. So find your calm, let the quiet settle around you, and when you're ready, follow me down into the soft light below. It began on a night that didn't seem like it wanted to end. The sky hung open and vast, the kind of blue that feels like it might never turn black. I had been walking for a while, long enough that I'd stopped keeping track of where I was going. The air was cool and still, carrying the faint scent of rain that had passed days before. Each step across the grass made a soft hush, a rhythm that felt almost like breathing. I'd come across this stretch of land before, though I couldn't remember when. It was open and quiet, ringed by trees that kept their distance, as if giving the field a kind of respect. Somewhere out there, a cricket started up, one long note followed by silence. I paused for a moment, unsure why the sound felt like an invitation. There was something different about the air here. Heavier, maybe. More awake. That's when I saw it. A shimmer in the grass ahead. Not a light exactly, but a distortion, the way heat bends the air above a road. I moved closer, slow and careful, until the shimmer gathered itself into shape. And there it was, a single step made of stone, sunk halfway into the earth, edges smooth and faintly glowing. It looked old, though the air around it felt untouched. I knelt down, brushed my hand across its surface. It wasn't cold like stone should be. It had a warmth to it, a pulse almost, steady and quiet like something sleeping. I stayed like that for a while, my hand resting on the step, the stars above spinning slow and patient. Then I noticed the faint outline of another step below it, and another below that. The staircase descended into the ground, or perhaps into something else. From where I stood, it seemed to fade into reflection, as though the field had turned to water, mirroring the night sky perfectly. The stars above and the stars below aligned so precisely that it was impossible to tell which direction was up. I took a slow breath and stepped down. The first step sank beneath me like mist, not solid, not empty either. It held, but softly, as though the air itself had agreed to let me pass. Beneath my feet, faint ripples spread through the reflection, scattering constellations into trembling fragments of light. Each one reformed again, just as slowly, like the sky exhaling. I looked down and saw that the stairway went much deeper than I'd thought. It didn't spiral or twist, it simply continued straight, cutting a narrow path through the mirrored stars. It was impossible to tell what waited at the end, though part of me suspected it didn't end at all. Maybe it was meant to keep going until you stopped wanting to know, or until the night decided it was enough. The air grew lighter as I descended. The sounds of the world above, the wind, the grass, the insects, all fell away until I was surrounded by nothing but the hum of stillness. Every breath seemed to stretch longer, slower. I could almost hear my thoughts settling, one by one, into silence. I passed what looked like fragments of clouds drifting through the air, though when I reached out to touch them, they moved aside as if aware of me. Each one carried faint specks of light inside, tiny galaxies, or maybe just the idea of them. The kind of small beauty you only notice when everything else goes quiet. At some point, I stopped counting steps. There was no point in it. The space between above and below had stretched thin. Only this moment, this descent, and the soft pulse of something vast just beyond reach. It felt like walking through a dream that didn't belong to me. And maybe that was the point. After a while, I noticed how the light began to change. It grew softer, less sharp, like starlight filtered through water. The deeper I went, the more the air shimmered with faint hues, gentle gold, deep violet, and a strange calm blue that seemed to hum quietly against my skin. It wasn't cold anymore. If anything, it felt like stepping through a memory of warmth. The staircase widened gradually, opening into a space I couldn't quite define. It wasn't a room, but it wasn't the open sky either. It was something in between, a hollow made of light and distance, as though the stars themselves had carved out a place to rest. I stood still, waiting for my eyes to adjust, though I'm not sure they ever truly did. Everything here seemed to breathe, the floor, the air, even the silence. A faint sound reached me then, soft and rhythmic. It wasn't music, not exactly, more like a heartbeat echoing from far away. I followed it carefully, my footsteps swallowed by the dim glow that surrounded everything. The stars beneath the surface flickered in response, like they were aware of me, or maybe just curious. At the center of that space stood a pedestal, small, unassuming, made of the same faintly glowing stone as the steps. On top of it lay a single glass sphere about the size of an apple. Inside it, tiny points of light drifted slowly, forming and reforming constellations I'd never seen before. They moved with purpose, each pattern unfolding into another, as though telling a story only the stars understood. I reached out, hesitant, and brushed the surface with my fingertips. The hum grew louder, not in my ears, but somewhere deeper. I felt it through my chest, through my breath, through every quiet thought that had followed me down here. And for a moment, everything went still. Perfectly, impossibly still. When the stillness broke, it wasn't with sound, it was with light. The sphere pulsed once beneath my hand, a slow, gentle expansion, as if it had just taken its first breath. The stars inside scattered, stretching outward like threads of gold that reached beyond the glass. They didn't escape, they became the space around me. Every surface, every edge of air shimmered, unfolding in quiet waves that rippled through the dark. I stepped back, but the floor beneath me shifted with the motion, softening, dissolving into what looked like a reflection of the night above. only this time it wasn't a mirror. I was standing inside the sky itself. Constellations passed beneath my feet. I recognized none of them, yet somehow each one felt familiar, like words I'd forgotten how to say. The hum that had followed me down from the surface had changed too. Now it moved in rhythm with the flickering light, like the heartbeat of the world. I closed my eyes. When I opened them again, the staircase was gone. Or maybe it had become part of everything else. The stars were no longer just above or below. They were all around, suspended in slow motion, as though time had loosened its grip here. For the first time, I realized I wasn't descending anymore. I was floating. Through the haze, I thought I saw shapes, faint silhouettes that drifted like memories of people or echoes of those who had stood here before me. They weren't solid, but they didn't need to be. They moved like shadows through water, calm and unhurried. Each one seemed to carry a soft glow, as though they had gathered a little bit of starlight and kept it for themselves. I wanted to ask them what this place was, but no sound came. The question didn't belong here. This wasn't a place for answers. It was a place for remembering that questions could fade without needing to be solved. And in that quiet, I understood the staircase wasn't built to lead anywhere at all. It existed only for those who were willing to walk until they forgot why. The space around me shifted again, not suddenly, but with the slow certainty of the tide. The stars that floated nearby began to drift upward, gathering themselves into new constellations that shimmered faintly before fading. It was as though the night was rewriting itself, one quiet breath at a time. And I found myself wondering how long it had been since I started this descent, or if I had ever really descended at all. I tried to look back, but there was nothing behind me now, only a faint silver trail winding upward into infinity. It looked like the ghost of a staircase, built from what I'd already forgotten. For a moment, I thought about climbing it again, just to see if the surface was still waiting. But then I noticed something faint ahead, a glow softer than the rest, hovering just beyond reach. It looked like a doorway at first, or maybe the memory of one. I moved closer, though I couldn't tell if I was walking or being drawn forward. The light pulsed once, twice, then steadied. Not bright, but warm in a way that felt familiar, almost like it recognized me. I reached out, my hand trembling slightly in the still air. When my fingers brushed the glow, it didn't open or fade. It simply accepted me, the way quiet water takes the shape of anything that enters it. And in that moment, every sound, every image, every thought became one soft, continuous motion. It wasn't falling. It wasn't rising. It was just being. Somewhere in that weightless space, I felt the faintest breeze, cool, calm, carrying the scent of grass after rain. I opened my eyes and the field was there again. The night above me was perfectly still, stars scattered like quiet watchers. The stone step at my feet was gone, but the hum remained, low and patient, as though the sky itself was breathing. And for a moment, I could almost hear it whisper, "You've already been here before." So here's where the story ends. The night folds itself back together, slow and quiet, as though it never meant to reveal anything at all. The stars above return to their places, steady and content, their reflections fading into the dark grass below. And whatever that staircase was, a dream, a doorway, or just a trick of tired eyes, it no longer matters. What stays is the calm, the slow rhythm of your breath, the gentle hum of stillness that settles in after the wandering stops. That's the part worth keeping. Let it linger for a while in the quiet corners of your mind until even the thought of holding on drifts away. The night will take care of the rest. Sleep will come when it's ready, soft, unhurried, like a tide returning home. So stay here for now, between the stars above and the stars below, and let the world dim gently around you. Good night.